After a chance encounter with her high school ex, a sudden tragedy shakes a couple to their core. When suspicions and paranoia start invading the marriage, will trust survive, or does an innocent man face unfounded accusations? This story will leave you questioning everything. Picture this. You're walking down a quiet street on what feels like just another ordinary day. The sun is dipping lower, shadows stretch across the pavement, and you're lost in thought until an unexpected encounter jolts you back to reality. There he is, your wife's old high school boyfriend, standing beside his mother. It's one of those encounters you don't plan for, the kind that instantly feels awkward. You exchange a polite nod, maybe a stiff smile. No more than a few seconds, but it lingers strangely in your mind as you walk away. Awkward, yes, but harmless, or at least, it should have been. That night you're out with friends. A few drinks, some laughter, stories that roll on a little too long. You lose track of time, and when you finally come home, the house is quiet. Your wife is already asleep. You think nothing of it. Morning comes, and with it a piece of news that shakes the ground beneath you. Her ex, the same man you crossed paths with just yesterday, he's dead, a seizure. They say sudden, unpredictable, and no foul play suspected. You sit there stunned, your mind trying to bridge the gap between yesterday's brief encounter and the brutal finality of this morning's news. But while the world calls it an accident, your wife's reaction is different. At first, it's hard to pin down. She seems distant, lost in her own storm of thoughts. But then, the questions begin. Not gentle, grieving questions, not the kind you'd expect from someone mourning a piece of their past. They're sharp, precise, unsettling. Who exactly were you with last night? What time did you leave? When did you get back? Over and over, the same pattern. As though she's building a timeline in her mind. As though she's searching for cracks in your story. And suddenly, something that should have been tragic, but simple, begins to feel like something else. Something darker. You try to dismiss it at first. She's grieving, you tell yourself, confused, shaken, overwhelmed by the suddenness of it all. People don't always react rationally in moments like these. But as days pass, the tension grows. Every time you enter the room, you feel her eyes on you, measuring you, questioning you. And then the thought creeps in, the one you don't even want to say out loud. Does she think I had something to do with this? It sounds insane. After all, it was a seizure. A medical tragedy. Nothing more. But her behavior says otherwise. She seems almost afraid. You want to ask her outright. To break the silence that has turned your home into a cage. But how do you even phrase such a thing? Do you look your wife in the eye and ask, "Do you think I murdered him?" The words feel impossible, terrifying, and yet, every question she throws your way drags you closer to that reality. You're caught in a silent standoff, where the real question lingers in the air but never leaves your lips. Grief does strange things to people. It doesn't always wear black and cry at funerals. Sometimes, it twists into suspicion. Sometimes, it looks for someone to blame. And when that someone is the man sleeping beside you every night, the walls of trust begin to crack. For her, the timing is too sharp to ignore. She saw you bump into him just hours before his death. She knows you came home late, after a night out. In her grief, coincidence starts to look like connection. For you, the nightmare is different. You're innocent, yet you feel accused without a single word being said. Every look, every question chips away at the foundation of your marriage. What happens to love when doubt enters the room? You replay that last meeting in your head. The awkward nod, the brief eye contact, the way life seemed so normal in that moment. How could she believe you capable of such a thing? And yet, you see it in her eyes, the flicker of fear. The quiet hesitation when she reaches for your hand and then stops halfway. You realize something chilling. Trust isn't lost in one big moment. It erodes slowly, like sand slipping away from under your feet. The house no longer feels like a home. Silence fills the spaces where laughter used to live. Every attempt at conversation turns into another interrogation. Why didn't you text me back last night? Who drove you home? Are you sure you didn't run into him again? Her grief has become suspicion, and her suspicion is becoming poison. You want to shake her, to tell her how absurd it all sounds, but deep down, you know logic has little power against grief. This is the haunting part of the story. Not the death, not even the suspicion, but the helplessness. You didn't cause this tragedy. And yet, you're living inside its shadow. Accused, without accusation, guilty without crime, and she, your wife's, trapped. She doesn't want to believe it. but grief whispers doubts into her ear at night. The more she tries to silence them, the louder they grow. In moments like these, the lessons are brutal. Tragedy doesn't just take lives, it fractures trust. It builds walls where love once stood. It turns spouses into strangers, questioning each other instead of holding one another. The only way through is communication. Honest, painful, raw communication. To face the unspoken instead of letting it rot in silence. Because when suspicion lingers too long, it becomes something permanent. The path forward isn't simple. You can't erase her grief, just as you can't erase the timing of that strange encounter, but you can remind her of the truth, that love only survives when both people choose to believe in it, even when their hearts are broken. And sometimes, that's the hardest part of all. Not moving past the tragedy, not surviving the whispers, but choosing to believe in each other again. If you felt the tension in this story, smash that like button and share your thoughts on how to handle grief in marriage. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible real-life tales.